begins with the arrival of the dear, devoted patrons of the arts who wave and greet each other across the grand salon, commenting on what this one is wearing or how that one looks, scarcely knowing what play they're about to see that night. With the exception of one man, Ivan Ilyich Cherchikov.
If Ivan Ilyich Cherchikov, a civil servant, a clerk in the Ministry of Public Parks, had any passion in life at all, it was the theater. Oh, certainly he had hopes and ambitions for higher office, and he had devoted his life to hard work, zeal, and patience. Still, he would not deny himself his one great pleasure. And so, he purchased 2 tickets in the very best part of the theater for the opening night performance of Rostov's The Bearded Countess. As fortune would have it, into the theater that night came his respected superior, General Mikhail Rasolov, the Minister of Public Parks himself.
Good evening, General.
What? Oh, yes. Good evening.
Permit me, sir. I am Cherchikov, Ivan Ilyich. This is a great honor for me, sir.
Yes.
And like yourself, sir, I too serve the Ministry of Public Parks. That is to say, I work for you, who is indeed himself the Minister of Public Parks. I'm an assistant chief clerk in the Department of Trees and Bushes.
Yes. Keep up the good work. Lovely trees and bushes this year. Very nice.
My wife would very much like to say hello, General. This is she, my wife, Madame Cherchikov.
How do you do?
My pleasure.
My pleasure, General.
How do you do?
Madame Brazelhoff, my wife, Madame Cherchikov.
How do you do, Mrs. Brazelhoff?
How do you do?
I just had the pleasure of meeting your husband.
And I am my wife's husband. How do you do, Madame Brazelhoff?
Sorry. Terribly sorry.
I hope you enjoy the play, sir.
I will, if I can watch it.
Feeling quite pleased with himself for having made the most of a golden opportunity, Ivan Ilyich Cherchikov sat back to enjoy The Bearded Countess. He was no longer a stranger to the Minister of Public Parks. They had become, if one wanted to be generous about the matter, familiar with each other. And then, quite suddenly, without any warning, like a bolt from a gray, thundering sky, Ivan Ilyich Cherchikov reared back his head and...
Oh my goodness, I'm so sorry. I'm terribly sorry.
Never mind, it's all right.
It's not all right. It's unpardonable. It was monstrous of me.
Let it, you make too much of the matter. Let it rest.
Now, how can I let it rest? Dear General, it's inexcusable. Permit me to wipe your neck, dear sir.
Leave it be. It's all right, I say.
But I splattered you. Your complete head is splattered. I assure you it was an accident, but it's disgusting.
I'm sorry. My apologies.
The thing is, General, it came completely without warning. It was out of my nose before I could stifle it. Shh. Yes, shh, I'm sorry. It's not a cold if that's what you were worrying about, sir. Probably a particle of dust in the nostril. Shh.
But try as he might, Cherchikov could not put the incident out of his mind. The sneeze, no more than an innocent anatomical accident, grew out of all proportion in his mind until it resembled the angry roar of a cannon aimed squarely at the enemy camp. He played it over in his mind, slowing down the procedure so that he could view again, in horror, the infamous deed.
Charming.
Charming, simply charming. Wasn't it charming?
Oh, it was utterly charming.
I was completely charmed by it.
Who's
Excuse
tapping
me,
me?
Excellency.
Who's tapping? Somebody's tapping me. Who's that tapping?
I'm tapping, sir. I'm the tapper, Cherchikov.
Stand back, dear. It's the sneezer.
No, it's okay. I'm all sneezed out. I was just concerned about you going out into the night air with a damp head.
Oh, that. It was a trifle, a mere faux pas. Forget it, young man. Amusing play, don't you think? Did you find it amusing?
Yes, amusing. So true. I haven't laughed as much in years.
Which part amused you the most?
The sneeze. When I sneezed on you, it was unforgivable.
Forget it, young man. Come, my dear, it looks like rain, and I don't want to get my head wet again.
My dear, you shouldn't let people sneeze on you. You're not to be sneezed at.
I'm ruined. Ruined. They'll have me fired from trees and bushes. They'll send me down to branches and twigs.
Come, Yvonne.
What?
You mustn't let it concern you. It was just a harmless sneeze. And the general's probably forgotten it already.
Do you really think so?
No, I'm scared, Yvonne.
And so they walked home in despair.
Perhaps I should send them a nice gift. Maybe some Turkish towels.
Cherchikov's once promising career had literally been blown away.
Why did I go to the theater? Why did this happen to me? Why didn't we sit up in the balcony with people of our own class? They love to sneeze on each other.
Come to bed, Yvonne.
Perhaps, if I was to visit the general and discuss the matter again, but this time in a more charming, honest, and self-effacing manner, he'll have no choice but to forgive me.
Maybe it's best not to remind him, Yvonne.
No. If I ever expect to become a gentleman, I must behave like one.
And so morning came. It so happened that this was the day that the general listened to petitions. And since Cherchikov had 50 or 60 petitions ahead of him, he waited from morning until late afternoon.
Next. Next!
I'm not next, Your Excellency. I'm last.
Very well, then. Last.
That's me, sir.
Well, what is your petition?
I have no petition, sir. I'm not a petitioner.
Then you waste my time.
Do you not recognize me, sir? We met last night under rather explosive circumstances. I'm the splatterer.
The what?
The sneezer. The one who sneezed. The sneezing splatterer.
And what is it you want now? A gossoon tight?
No, Excellency. Your forgiveness. I just wanted to point out to you that there was no political or antisocial motivation behind the sneeze. It was a nonpartisan, nonviolent act of God. I hate when this protuberance formed itself on my face. It's a hateful nose, sir, and I'm not responsible for its indiscretions. Punish that which committed the deed, but absolve the innocent body behind it. Exile my nose, sir, but forgive me your kindship. Forgive me.
My dear young man, I am not angry at your nose. I am too busy to have time for your nasal problems. I suggest you go home and take a hot bath or a cold one. Take something, but don't bother me with this silly business again. Gibber, 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 that's all I've heard all day. Gibber, 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 gibber.
Thank you, sir. God bless you and your wife and your household. May your days be sweet, and may your nights be better than your days.
The feeling of relief that came over him was enormous.
May the birds sing at your window in the morning, and may the coffee in your cup be strong and hot.
The weight of the burden that had been lifted was inestimable.
I worship the chair that you sit in, and the uniform that you wear that sits in the chair that I worship.
He walked home singing and whistling like a lark. Life was surely a marvel, a joy, a heavenly paradise.
God, I am happy.
And yet, when he returned home, he began to think.
Have I been the butt of a cruel and thoughtless joke?
Had the minister toyed with him?
If he had no intention of punishing me, why did he torment me so unmercifully?
If the sneeze meant so little to the minister, why had he deliberately caused Cherchikov to writhe in his bed?
To twist in agony the entire night.
Cherchikov was furious.
I am furious!
He foamed and fumed and paced the night through. And in the morning, he called out to his wife, Sonia!
Sonia! I have been humiliated.
You and I? Who would humiliate you? You're such a kind and generous person.
Who? I'll tell you who. General Brazelhoff, the Minister of Public Parks.
What did he do?
The swine. I was humiliated in such an imperceptible manner. The man's cunning is equal only to his cruelty. He practically forced me to come to his office to grovel and beg on my knee. I was reduced to a gibbering idiot.
You were that reduced?
Yes. I must go tell him how I feel about it. The lower class must speak up. The world must be made safe so that men of all nations and creed, regardless of religion, will feel safe to sneeze on their superiors. It is he who will be humiliated by I.
And so, in the morning, Cherchikov went to humiliate he.
Last? Well?
Well, you ask? Do you not recognize me? Look at my face. Yes, you're quite correct. It is I once again.
It is you once again. Who?
Cherchikov, Excellency, I have returned, neither taken a hot bath nor a cold one.
Who let this filthy man in? What is it?
What is it? What is it, you ask? You sit there behind your desk and ask, what is it? You sit there in your lofty position as General and Minister of Public Parks, a man held in high esteem among the upper class, and A lowly civil servant, what is it? You sit there knowing there is inequality in this life, that there are some of us who serve and some of us who are served, some of us who are obey and some of us who are obeyed, and some of us who bow and some of us who are bowed to. And you understand that in certain circumstances in this life, some of us are humiliated and some of us are the cause of the humiliation. And still you ask me, what is it?
What is it? Stop standing there like a gibbering idiot. What is it you want?
I'll tell you what I want. I wanted to apologize again. I wasn't sure I made it clear. It was an accident, I assure you.
Out! Out, you idiot! Fool! Imbecile! Get out of my sight! I never want to see you again! If you ever cross my line of vision, I have you exiled forever! What's your name?
Chernikov!
You germ spreader! You maggot! You insect! You are lower than an insect! You are the second cousin to a cockroach! You are the son-in-law of a bedbug! You are the nephew of a ringworm! You are nothing! Nothing, do you hear me? Nothing!
At that moment, something broke loose inside of Cherchikov. Something so deep and vital, so organic, that the damage that it did seemed irreparable. Something drained from him that can only be described as the very life force itself. The matter was over, for once, for all, forever. What happened next is quite simple. Ivan Ilyich Cherchikov returned home, removed his coat, lay down on the sofa, and died.